everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, October 30th, 2016. Y&R is really giving us the full-on corporate espionage story right now. We have Jack and his briefcase full of cash, which you know I always love. We had the whole document switcheroo fake out inside of a trash can, and Travis is lurking around in the background wearing a trench coat. I mean, I think he practically had his collar popped up, so he's sort of hiding his face. He looked like a spy. I'm watching the entire week and all of this unfolding thinking, is this The Young and the Restless or The Bourne Identity? Especially since I made the connection in my mind that Travis reminds me so much of Matt Damon. Now I'm just seeing it all over the place. I keep expecting to see Travis jump from one rooftop to the next in Genoa City. I think it's really fun. I've enjoyed this week. First of all, this week we learned that at least on the surface, we know who the Newman Enterprises mole is. It's some random guy with a raspy voice who we've never seen before. He comes out of the blue feeding Newman documents to Jack. He's the mysterious guy that Jack was meeting with in the alleyway, and he's providing information about Victor's improprieties to Jack in exchange for cold hard cash, which this information is supposed to lead Jack to some epic triumph over Victor, which we know as viewers will never ever ever happen because it never ever ever does. The past 2 weeks, I've speculated that Victor leaked those initial documents on purpose right from the get-go, but maybe that's not true. Maybe it is still true. I could have been wrong about it at the time, but now it definitely is true. Since Victor has caught wind that Jack is the one behind all of this in one form or another, he has Natalie on his side, and she is Miss Computer Hacker Whiz. He tells her, why don't we just leave certain files vulnerable inside of our system? Things that will look like they're salacious, we'll leave them somewhat unprotected so that they can be accessed, and we will essentially set a trap to find out who the mole is. And apparently it completely worked. We learned at the very end of the week that Victor has only pretended to leave town. He has left Abby in charge while Jack and Phyllis are over at Jabot scrambling and working together, bizarrely, to get the info for cash exchange rolling here with the mole. Now, Jack knows that Victor is on to him, of course. He knows that he's going to be the #1 suspect. He knows that he's going to be tailed if he's the one who goes and makes this next money drop. And he actually pulls this kind of brilliant switcheroo, making himself the decoy while Phyllis is the one who's volunteered herself to do the real drop, to actually exchange the money for the information. The problem is Mr. Raspy Voice board member Mole, who we're just now getting introduced to, has really just taken Victor's bait. That's all that's really gone on here. And of course, as soon as he does, that's a big old red flag to Victor. Victor finds out. He tips off Abby, who is kind of on the inside of all of this. We thought that Abby was being sidelined, that it was very much don't tell Abby and Summer what's going on here, when in reality, Abby's kind of on the inside here working with Victor. She gets the tip that the exchange is going down, and she sees the entire thing happen. She sees Phyllis right in the hot seat, handing over the briefcase of cash, thinking she's real slick, when in fact she's completely been caught. I think that this has been a really nice turn and twist of the story. I've enjoyed it very much. I like the corporate espionage kind of vibe. I think it's perfect for fall and winter. I like it, especially since we're seeing all of these outdoor scenes at the park, and I liked Travis in his trench coat. What can I say? I think that the writing and the way it's unfolded has been very clever and very full of intrigue, and it definitely has left me guessing and wondering what, who's behind it, what's really going on here. But what I think like the most about this particular story set and is the fact that the whole corporate espionage thing is really being used as just a backdrop to tell the continued story of the relationship of Jack and Phyllis. That's what it should be. That's kind of how soap operas should be. The new writers, the new people in charge of the show are doing it just right. This is what I want. I like that surface element of intrigue when really it's the story of love. It's a story of romance. It's a story of relationships anyway. This week, unfortunately, I suppose for both of them, the divorce papers for Jack and Phyllis have been signed, and it was so very, very painful to see Jack get the papers. From his lawyer, he's already signed them, and he has to stand there and tell Phyllis to sign them too. And she really, just with her heart in her hand, and is having to agree. She decided that in exchange for Jack getting the divorce, she gets the job at Jabot, and she wants to keep good on her deal. So she signs the divorce papers right there in front of him. It was really, really hard to watch. It broke my heart for as much as these two have gone through together, and we as the audience having been on the roller coaster of the affair, and I said weeks after weeks after weeks, why doesn't she just leave him? Like, forget it, this relationship is over. And now it comes time to sign the papers, and I just found it to be very heartbreaking. I think primarily because this marriage is not ending because of a lack of love. It's really ending, because of a lack of trust. And it's actually much sadder. Y&R did this really unique and powerful montage of their relationship. It was great. It was showing us all of the good times that Jack and Phyllis have had together since the recast, and also intersplicing it with all of the betrayal and Jack finding out what she did to him. It was just, they did this whole split screen thing. It was brilliant. I thought it was actually one of the better montages that we've seen in the over the course of the past months and years. I thought it was just brilliant. I really enjoyed that, and it's interesting to see how hard Phyllis is fighting for her marriage now that it's over. She is completely committed to Jack. She wants to gain back the trust that she lost with him. She even had a moment of telling Billy this week, reinforcing with him that their relationship is over. She really doesn't seem to have any interest in going backward. All she wants to do is repair her relationship with Jack. But Billy foreshadowed something very, very important this week. He goes to Jack after last week, the whole thing with the thumb drive and him stealing it away from her and wanting to know what Jack and Phyllis are up to. This week, Billy actually confronts Jack in his office. They have this big blow up argument where Billy says to Jack, you and Victor can go at it all you want. Knock each other out till you both are bleeding. But I don't want you dragging Phyllis into all of this. And the fact that Billy was coming in and defending Phyllis to Jack really rubbed Jack the wrong way. Jack was infuriated. Jack was so angry he turned British. Like, did you notice? He's like, "You are no longer an abbot." I mean, he really, or something, or he almost turned into Victor or something. He was like, "You are not my brother and you are not an abbot." It was very, very big and dramatic. I'm sure Peter Bergman loved doing that scene because it was quite incredible. I still am loving Jack. Actually, last week's poll question was, which version of Jack do you prefer? Do you like your Jack as the dastardly devil, or do you like your Jack as the decent guy? 64% of YNR chatters said, "I like the dastardly devil." Well, we had 36% saying they like the decent guy version. I think I'm preferring the dastardly devil for now, just because there's so much rich material for Peter Bergman to get into. It's something different. We've seen, I think, the decent guy version of Jack for quite a while now, and it's nice to maybe transition into something a little more on the devilish side. We can always go back to decent guy Jack, and I'm sure that we will at a certain point, but I mean, Jack he's such like the star of the show for me right now. I'm really, really liking him. But here's the thing. Billy was right about one thing. Here it is. Jack Abbott always tries to best Victor Newman, and Jack Abbott always loses every single time. The difference here is, this time, Jack's plan isn't just going to blow up in his face. It's going to blow up in Phyllis's face too. And the question we are going to be left with is, will Jack stay and fight to help Phyllis out of this mess that he created and that she warned him about? Or is he just going to leave her there in the rubble? The other little romance that is forming on the heels of this corporate espionage backdrop is Abby and Travis. Did I call it or what, you guys? I think I've been calling it for 2 weeks now. I just picked up on this little vibe, and now I'm seeing it all over the place. Travis all week is chasing around a wild goose, trying to find out who the Newman Enterprises mole is, when it's really, I think, just Victor having Travis do busy work. Travis is absolutely convinced that the mole is someone in Victor's family, which is seemingly way off base, unless we've got a twist coming down the pike. We, the viewers, know that the mole is raspy voice guy, so all week we're watching Travis go around trying to find out who the family member is that's behind all of this, and it just seems that he's really, really off here. But what we're doing is creating some suspicion, for one thing, between Travis and Victoria. If Victor's family is under suspicion, that means Victoria is under suspicion. So we've got that little wedge going in between Travis and Victoria there, driving them apart and freeing up Victoria for the inevitable Billy-Victoria reunion, which we know is coming. We can see it from a mile away. Jill's plan is working. But now, the thing is, the little sort of surprise to me is that it's also creating a reason for Travis and Abby to have a relationship, or at least an interaction with one another, just to start out. There was a nice, funny, interesting, twisty little scene on Friday where Travis is trying to investigate Abby. He thinks, maybe Abby is the one who's feeding information to the outside. He takes her to lunch. He thinks he's being all sly, plying her with champagne, and Abby completely turns the tables on him. She was like, "Oh no, I see exactly what you're doing." She lets him think that he's getting away with it throughout the bottle of champagne, and at the very end she was like, "Yep, I knew it all along. My dad warned me about you. I knew you were gonna do this. If you think that I'm the one who's stealing information, you're way off base, buddy." It was kind of great. I mean, that kind of tension, you guys, can only lead to one place. the bedroom. Or possibly the top of Victor's desk if we're lucky. I don't know. I mean, are you guys picking up on that tension, or are your senses kind of tingling here about Abby and Travis? And if so, what do you think? Let's have an early temperature check on the relationship of Abby and Travis. It's very, very preliminary, but I think that should be our poll question for this week. Abby and Travis, hot or not? Are you feeling it? Do you think this is a couple that could have some potential? yrchat.com if you would like to cast your vote. Leave some comments about Abby and Travis. I am not a huge Abby fan, but I am a huge Travis fan. Ideally, I would like to have Travis and Victoria together, but I did kind of think to myself, well, this could possibly be a couple that could work. If we can really dig into Abby's character and really see some growth out of this actress and out of the character, I think I could be into it. I think it has potential, but I'm not sure. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about that this week. I'll tell you what I was really surprised about in terms of this story was the fact that Ashley decided to weigh in on Abby and Stitch's relationship in a really positive way. I wasn't expecting to see Ashley sit down with Stitch and really try to convince him to save the marriage. I would have completely assumed that Ashley would have either distanced herself from it or just gone along with what her daughter had decided. Honestly, I feel like Ashley is just doing her due diligence here. I think that Ashley and Ben's time is coming. That's another relationship that is just, I feel like I can see it coming from a mile away. It was also weird though to see on the heels of that conversation, I guess, Ben getting all territorial when he sees Abby having her champagne lunch with Travis. What the hell, man? I thought we decided this relationship was over last week. I accidentally glossed over this last week and I was really mad at myself. Wait, Victor hires Michael, of all people, to be his attorney against GC Buzz? Michael, who intentionally threw Victor under the bus at his murder trial, tried to let Victor intentionally defend him in a way so that Victor would go to prison for a really long time, and Victor turns around and gives him a job. That is bizarre. I saw it at the beginning of the week and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't believe that I didn't zero in and rip that apart. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're playing it off like, well, Michael feels like he has to repay Victor for that. Whatever. I mean, it's a leap, but I'm gonna take it. Essentially, Victor hires Michael to go after Devon and Hilary and GC Buzz, threatening to sue them if they don't reveal the source of this information that they've published. Maybe it's time for Hilary to do some actual real reporting here and get some sources. Maybe it will force her into a position to do the job in a more responsible way, even though that is far less entertaining, because let me tell you, the gossip mongering, got a microphone in your face, recording you without you even knowing it, Hilary, is much more suitable, I think, to her character. I loved her getting up in Nikki's face at the athletic club, it's so bizarre considering Devon owns the athletic club and now she's down there harassing the guests. But I thought it was a funny little scene. I liked seeing the way Nikki pushed back on Hilary and Neil defending Nikki as well. Nikki was kind of cool this week. I was surprised because I just always expect now that Nikki is gonna be this, oh well, Victor, you know, he's a good guy. He's innocent of everything, and I just believe him and I trust him. And no, that's really not what we're getting. This week we're actually getting this camaraderie between Nikki and Victor, where she's just turned a new leaf and she just accepts who her husband is. She knows he's lying. I mean, sure, she catches on to all of his dirty little tricks. And rather than making excuses for him or judging him for it, it's so freaking refreshing to me that she's just kind of in on it too. What a novel idea, but keep it up, YNR. This Nikki is so much better than the forever pushover version of her. It's just more honest. It feels more honest. And that's all I'm asking for my Nikki and Victor. Anywho, Devon ends up hiring Leslie to represent him against Victor and Michael. And Leslie basically tells Devon he's screwed. I mean, there's no way out of it. He stands to lose Catherine's entire fortune if Victor is successful with his lawsuit, which, I'm sorry, but are you kidding me? Devon does not have his personal assets protected in a business liability situation. This is about your business, Devon. You don't have those separated. You can't, like Victor would be suing GC Buzz, not you personally. It's ridiculous. It's absurd, and I'm sorry, but this guy is just not worthy of having inherited Catherine Chancellor's fortune. Ugh, I can't believe it. Leslie has to even advise him almost as if he's a child. She talks to him as if he's a child. Look, go to Victor and try to strike a deal, you idiot. Your whole life is becoming one bad decision. Go to Victor and just try to talk to him. So what does Devon do? He walks up in Victor's office and says, you know, Victor, I just decided to hire a team of private investigators to look into you and your company and everything you're doing, and it sure would be a shame if they found any dirt on you that I'd have to publish in my magazine. It was as if Devon was trying to pull this big power play. I'm looking at him in the eyes going, is he actually thinking he's going to pull off threatening Victor Newman? This kid is out of his league. And then he turns around and tries to appeal to Victor as Catherine's friend. Why didn't you try the friend approach first? It was actually working. I mean, the only reason Victor gave him court for a millisecond was because he's Catherine's grandson in the first place. And Victor was about to soften when he actually used that approach when Devon gets a ding on his phone. Hilary has completely blown any goodwill that he's managed to muster in this meeting with Victor because she has decided to publish a blind item about Victor hiring Natalie and how suspicious that is. And now it's all over the place out in GC Buzz, and everybody kind of, even though she did it as a blind item, everybody knows it's just her coming after Victor again. And so it completely screws up Devon's whole plan. And also, how does Hilary know that? How does Hilary know that Natalie is working for Victor and how suspicious that is? Mariah gave her the dirt in exchange for a job. Worst of all, Mariah told Kevin that Natalie was back in town. He didn't know it. And she created this illusion of concern for Natalie. You know, she's saying she lost all her money, but she's working with Victor, and you know Natalie's going to end up getting screwed over in that process. You should go talk to her, Kevin. So Kevin unknowingly goes over there to fish her for information, and you know, it's just, he's trying to be a friend to Natalie, and Natalie and he figure out together, wait a minute, Mariah is just trying to get you to get information out of me to bring back to her so she can feed it to her new boss at GC Buzz. Not a very cool thing to do, Mariah, especially especially not just to score points at your new job. I was kind of glad that Kevin went back and called her out on it, although at the same time, honestly, I can't be too mad at Mariah. It's not like Kevin never dogged her. I seem to remember some promises of gifts that never materialized that were supposed to come as a result of Kevin's big financial windfall. I seem to remember Kevin using Mariah a little bit too. And honestly, Mariah has been an awesome friend to Kevin, and all she ever gets is shoved into the friend zone. I mean, it had to have turned her stomach this week to see Kevin sitting in the coffee house, fresh out of his sex with Chloe, still wearing her shirt. I mean, he probably was just like glad to run into someone wearing Chloe's shirt so that he could brag about getting back together with Chloe. Don't get me wrong, okay? It was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious to see Kevin and Chloe having sex, Kevin going downstairs nude to get a bottle of champagne, and Chelsea walking in, catching him, and getting an absolute eyeful. He had to like grab this little wrap for himself and waddle backwards up the stairs so nobody saw him. It was so funny. Greg Ricart was awesome in that. I mean, all week, honestly, he's been really funny, really cute, really charming. All of the things that I love about Kevin. He's so cute. But the thing is, I don't believe in Kevin and Chloe's relationship. Kevin is such a weenie for her, and I don't want to see it. I feel like Kevin, he got laid this week, but he probably cried the whole time. He probably laid in bed with Chloe afterwards and wept on her. She's probably hating it too. I mean, it's not a good dynamic. I want to like them. I want to think they're cute. I want to get on board, but it just feels so one-sided. And the other thing too is I just think I'm kind of like not liking Chloe this week for some reason. Kevin was all hilarious and cute and his Og the Powerful costume, but when Chloe made her big entrance as Zoe, this character in his, fantasy fiction book, it made me feel a little ill. She gave this speech like, "My lord," and it just completely fell flat for me. I don't buy it. I don't buy this complete devotion on Chloe's part. I don't buy this complete turnaround in her character. Since when does Chloe read fantasy fiction? She is a diva fashionista who carries a stun gun and a grudge. Thank you. I vote Esther for best costume for Halloween this year. I did like how Chelsea tried to warn Chloe, saying, I would really hate to see Kevin get hurt. Don't forget, you're the love of his life. I don't think that Kevin is the love of Chloe's life, but clearly she is the love of his. And I just love that Chelsea made that point. And I feel so bad for Chelsea this week. She is so very lonely. She misses Adam. She wants to lean on Nick. And I think that she really genuinely wants to allow Nick to lean on her too. Nick is in a rough spot. He is mourning his son. He's mourning a life that he didn't get to have. And I think on a level, Nick is probably tired of being the strong one. He was the strong one for Sage, and then she died, and he had to be the strong one for the rest of the family. Strong one for Chelsea, strong one for Sharon, and it's, I think, all just catching up with him, because toward the tail end of Friday's show, Sharon and Chelsea are looking for Nick. He's supposed to be around, and he's nowhere to be found. They end up calling the underground, as I don't know why, as if he still works at the underground, why would you call there last? Why would you not even think about calling there? They called everywhere. They had to call Dylan to send a cop car by the cemetery. Call the underground. It's the bar he owns. It's where he works. So it was weird that was their last idea, but he's there, I guess, throwing bottles around at the underground, which doesn't even sound like Nick. We only had this preview of seeing the bottles flying in the background, and it's hard to imagine Nick being behind any of that. But I'm gonna assume that this is gonna give us some amazingly strong emotional scenes from Josh Morrow, from Nicholas this next week. I think that's gonna be great. And judging by Sharon's reaction, even thinking about Nick in pain, I don't know that Sharon is gonna be able to stand by and watch Nick suffer any longer. Things have hit a totally fevered pitch for Sharon, and I hate to speculate too far because I know that next week is the big reveal. I'm going to be definitely staying. I'm gonna try not to look at anything that might spoil me because I don't know how this is all gonna come out. All I know is that it's gonna, I think, come out next week, and I'm not sure how the pieces are all gonna fit together. Dylan has come home from his wherever he was doing a job for Paul, and we've learned that Patty is getting transferred. She has this total freak out, and they decide to transfer her to a facility called Rivercrest. We've got Fairview, Stonevale, Rivercrest. I gotta keep all of these mental facilities on the show straight somehow. But Patty, at the advice of her doctor, and Paul okays it, gets transferred to another facility. But the problem is, part of Patty's deal with Sharon was that she was gonna get transferred and busted out. And when Patty gets transferred without getting busted out, she completely freaks out. She feels betrayed by Sharon, and she freaks out at Paul. She is making all kinds of insinuations, like maybe I should just sing, maybe I should stop dancing around the topics, maybe I should just tell everybody everything about what happened at Fairview. And Paul has to be hearing that. I don't know how Paul can hear that and not drive home a direct question. What happened at Fairview, Patty? Instead, he's like, let's talk about your paintings, Patty. And Paul is not doing a real good direct job of getting to the answers, but he does hear her and adhere to her request to see Sharon. Of all people, Patty says, bring Sharon to me. So Dylan and Sharon go to visit Patty at Rivercrest, and it's this intense scene between Dylan and Sharon in the room together, and Patty making these insinuations and Sharon trying to subtly work her way out of it. Dylan trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Dylan leaves the room for a minute, and Sharon is trying to talk to Patty, saying, oops, the thing is, I didn't know about the transfer. I didn't have time to pull anything together. And Dylan is standing outside of the room looking in on them, noticing that something is off. I don't even know why. I could beat this point over the head forever, but I don't know why Sharon ever gave in to Patty's threat in the first place. Sharon should have just let Patty say whatever Patty was gonna say and play it off as she's a nut job. She's a crazy woman. Why would you believe anything that she's saying that my child is not my child? That's ridiculous. Somebody needs to lock her up. Who would even give that credence? So I don't know why Sharon didn't play it that way, but at the same time, even though nobody probably would believe Patty, she is incredibly cunning, and she's far smarter than we expect as the audience. She knows how to turn it off and turn it on like that. She can be crazy, she can be all over the place, she can be violent, and then all of a sudden she's very lucid, and we as the audience get a sense that she's calculating, and it's kind of a pleasure to watch. I really wish they would just bring Patty back full time because she is really good. I mean, they could probably reform her, for crying out loud, and make her a leading lady if they really wanted to. But it's great seeing her. If Paul hasn't picked up on the little clues that Patty's been giving, I am thinking that maybe Dylan is starting to. When he kind of sees Sharon and Patty conversing, he has a feeling that something's not quite right. He questions Sharon about it, and for the 500,000th time, Sharon is able to get out of it. But I'm wondering if Dylan is gonna go see Patty independently and try to talk it out of her, or draw out of her what the truth is. Paul got close, but maybe Dylan can get closer. I don't know. I don't know how any of this is gonna end, but I cannot wait for the ending. I assume either Patty is going to confess, or Dylan is going to put together the pieces, or Sharon's head is just going to spontaneously explode and she's going to confess the whole truth. What a redeeming moment for Cain this week. Poor Cain, he is trying to do the best job that he can do. He is trying to work with other vendors to make Bear by Brash and Sassy as successful as it can possibly be. He has this sit-down meeting with a buyer, a very important bigwig, and it accidentally makes him have to miss the twins' Halloween play, which they've been really looking forward to, and it made Cain look so bad that he missed the kids' play. But then there's this wonderful redeeming moment where the buyer or the bigwig sees the kids running around in the athletic club, and she makes some sort of snooty comment about how unruly the kids are and how rude it is of the parents to let the kids be running around. And Cain stands up for his kids. He chooses his kids. He chooses his family, and basically tells the lady, hey, forget you. Those are my kids. They're good kids. Sorry if we're not meeting your standards, but this is who I am, and I'm proud of my family. And he goes over, he leaves the table, he goes over, he reunites with his wife and his children, and then the buyer comes over and she says, you know what, you're the kind of guy I want to do business with. I'm going to give you the deal. And it's like this hero moment. He closes the deal. He's a total hero. And then the very next day he goes into Brash and Sassy, and now all of a sudden he is a total zero. Everyone is upset with him. It was a deal that he was apparently not supposed to close because Lauren has an exclusive right to sell Bear by Brash and Sassy, and bringing in another buyer causes a problem with her contract. So all of a sudden everybody's mad at Cain. Jill's mad at Cain. Lauren's mad at Cain. Jill really ripped Cain a new one, and it was so annoying to me that she'll go over and like lick her finger and get a smudge of dirt off of Billy's face and tell him how brilliant and creative and wonderful Billy is, while Cain is the one who's actually doing the work, busting his butt, trying to make the company successful, and then she sits down and really reams him. I guess he had it coming. I don't know what the terms of it all are, but I felt bad for Cain. I felt bad that he is always just trying to prove himself, and I don't know why. I think he just has, he is a great family man. He is a great guy, and maybe he's just trying to finally have a chance to prove himself as a great businessman too. I really liked though that Y&R took the time to have Lauren circle back, talk to Michael about the professional relationship that she's had with Cain, and how sort of betrayed she felt that he would go ahead and work with that buyer, but more so on top of that, the fact that Cain wanted to work with Lauren initially because he wanted to have autonomy. So she gave him a great position at Fenmore's, which he left her in the lurch about. He just sort of left Fenmore's without really giving Lauren much notice to go work for Jill, and now he's sharing the power with two other executives, and he's under Jill's thumb, and he doesn't have the autonomy that she knows that he wanted. So I thought that was a really great point that Lauren made. I was glad that Y&R brought it back to that. And last week I was kind of speculating, actually I think for the past couple weeks I've speculated that maybe there's a possibility that this whole Cain thing is going to lead to a Cain and Hilary relationship somehow, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just a story about Daddy becoming a workaholic. I'm on kissing duty. That was last week's Who Said It quote, and it was Chloe who said it. She was talking about Bella. She was upstairs and needing to be tucked in, and Chloe was ready to run upstairs and go give Bella and probably Connor too some kissins. She was in mommy mode. So a few people got that one right. It was Sandra, Ryan, Aaron, Happer. Now this came in as Happer, but I kind of think maybe your name is Harper because I'm pretty sure I've heard from you before. So it's either Happer or Harper. One of you or both of you. Also, Henry and Jasmine. All of you guys got that quote right. I've got a new one this week that I think kind of works for Halloween. You can tell me if you think you know who said this. The nightmare goes on and on and on. I like that for Halloween week. I think it's going to be appropriate. We've got Halloween coming up tomorrow, and we're starting to see the costumes on the show, and I'm sure there'll be a party, and there's going to, I think, be a whole lot of nightmare going on inside the underground. And not only that, inside the underground and all over the place, there's going to be a lot of nightmares to be revealed. But only one person this week said the quote, "The nightmare goes on and on and on." Do you know who said it? You can go to yrchat.com and leave your guess. If you get it right, then I will give you your shout out on next week's YNR Chat. Let's open up this Chatterbox and read a few comments. I have a really good one here from Sandra at yrchat.com who says, "I have a nagging suspicion that Chelsea isn't going to come forth with Christian's true paternity right away. She may see Nick's joy at being reunited with his son and not be able to break his heart by telling him that Adam is Christian's father. But if her and Nick's relationship takes a romantic turn, I think she'll tell Nick, they'll have a fallout, and perhaps Adam will return at that time." I love that idea because I was kind of assuming or thinking in the direction of when the truth comes out about Sully/Christian, Chelsea is going to immediately tell Nick and Sharon and everybody else that Adam was the father. But I really like the idea of Chelsea playing the long game a little bit there, or I guess it's not a game, but I guess selfishly or unselfishly not wanting to break Nick's heart by telling him that truth, because it doesn't really serve any purpose to tell Nick that, except I guess the purpose of the truth. But I like that idea. T. Nicole follows that up at yrchat.com saying, "I'm also thinking that Chelsea won't tell Nick, and the four of them with Christian and Connor will become like a family because Chelsea will think back to when Adam didn't want anyone to know he burned that letter by Sage. But then Adam will come back and find Chelsea with Nick raising his sons and want Chelsea and his two sons as a family." That's a possibility too. I guess I just hadn't thought about that. I just assumed that Chelsea was going to come out with the whole thing, but it's better for the story if YNR stretches it out a little bit. And I like that both Sandra and T. Nicole are leading that up to an Adam return at the end. Anna left me a voicemail. This made me laugh. She says, "I hope Nick tears the underground apart for good." Yes, I'm not gonna lie. He mentioned something about the underground 2 weeks ago, just the fact that he still worked there. And I thought to myself, ugh, the underground. I don't even care if I ever hear that name again. And then in the previews for Monday's show, we see the bottles flying in the background at the underground. And I was immediately thinking, no. That set should have gone down in the rubble. Instead they brought it down to the rubble and then rebuilt it back up exactly the same way it was. Ugh. Justin on Facebook, speaking of rubble, reminded me that this upcoming week marks 1 year since the infamous Newman Tower fire. That's right, Justin. It was kind of a Halloween party, and we had that devil. Who's the devil? Is Adam? It turned out to be Ian Ward. We had the big explosion with Ashley and Stitch trapped together. So that's very timely that this week Ashley and Stitch are talking talking a little bit about their time, and they did kind of mention it, about their time trapped in the fire together. It's very timely. Now, speaking of Abby and Stitch and Ashley, I love this from Shelly at yrchat.com. Shelly says, I feel like YNR wrote the fallout of Abby and Stitch's relationship to be completely one-sided, so that not only would it be easier on the characters if Ashley and Stitch ended up together, but easier on the viewers as well. The inappropriateness of Ashley pursuing Stitch if Abby was the one rejected would not be well received. The relationship issues that Stitch and Abby have done a complete turnaround. It used to be Stitch being the one with commitment issues and keeping distance between them, and in the beginning, Abby was practically throwing herself at him, desperately wanting that commitment. Now all of a sudden, she's done a complete 180. I don't buy it. I feel it's plot driven for sure. Shelly, yes, yes, you have just decoded it. I don't think I have anything of value left to add, because I think you just completely hit it. That was brilliant. Superplex at yrchat.com was theorizing a little bit around the idea that it was Ashley who was the one who tipped off Abby about the mole and where the drop was going to be going down. I didn't even think of that. It's certainly possible. I don't know if you still feel that way. I think that comment may have been a little earlier than Friday, but in my mind, it just kind of, as Friday came together, it came together for me as Victor walked in the office, revealed that he never left town. In my mind, I was thinking back to the trap that he set with Natalie, and I assumed that Victor was the one who told Abby and kind of knew all along that was going on. I could be wrong, though. Are there other theories about who tipped off Abby? I mean, maybe I was way off base. Believe me, I can miss things very, very easily. I'm not the end-all be-all authority on interpreting things, believe me. But Daisy on Facebook, I love this, says, even though Abby saw who the mole is, some board member, someone else could be pulling the strings, and that someone could be Adam. Oh, yes, Daisy. Tony at yrchat.com had also speculated a little bit during the week that maybe Adam was somehow behind this. I think you guys are right. I totally think you guys are right. YNR has to have a plan for Adam. I don't think they're going to leave him off the canvas for too much longer. As Sandra and T. Nicole were talking about, Adam has to come back into the story when it comes to Chelsea and Nick. He's going to play a really important role in that paternity. He's the father of this child that we're dying to, reveal the truth about. So I really think YNR has that in mind. And although I think we can probably speculate the reasons why Adam would maybe want to get revenge on Victor or Adam, or who knows, or Adam's motives for being behind being the mole. It seemed like Victor and Adam were kind of working together at the end, but ultimately Victor had Adam set up for murder, right? Or when he went to jail, Victor was behind all of that. So Adam would have a reason to want to get revenge on Victor, and not only that, but it adds some sort of credence to Travis's intuition that a family member is behind the mole thing. So maybe Travis isn't just on a wild goose chase. Maybe he is actually right. I think you guys got it. You're smarter than me. I can't even really take credit for that. In fact, I won't, because you guys pieced that together, and to me, it's just brilliant and makes complete sense. Finally, last comment. Gary left me a voicemail with a little behind the scenes or off-screen knowledge that I didn't have. Gary says, did you know that Eric Braeden is releasing an autobiography titled I'll Be Damned? No, I did not know that, Gary. I am so excited about that idea, though. I would love to read Eric Braeden's autobiography. I think that man is fascinating. Even above and beyond the work that he's done on The Young and the Restless, he just seems like somebody who has such an incredible story. There's so much more to him than I would have any idea. I never ended up reading Jean Cooper's autobiography, which I believe her birthday was the past week. I think Jasmine left me a comment and said her birthday was this past week. Sure do miss her, and I don't know why I never read her autobiography, but I'm telling you right now, I looked up, I went out of my way to find I'll Be Damned, and on Amazon it said the release date was February 17th, 2017. I wish they would get it out before Christmas, because I would love to get my hands on a hard copy of Eric Braeden's autobiography. And furthermore, I am just praying, please, please, please tell me that there is going to be an audiobook version that is narrated by the man himself. This week I have two special announcements. Admittedly, one of them is quite a bit bigger than the other, but I wanted to make sure to remind you guys that we're doing a soap giveaway beginning next week. So don't forget to come back next Sunday, November 6th, and we'll start entries on a soap giveaway where there will be 4 all new Genoa City soaps, characters that you've never seen before. I have formulated soap fragrances and recipes to match the personalities of 4 of our characters on Y&R. I'm going to reveal that next week and start a giveaway. I also brought back another one of our yummy soap bars that we did last year. So it's been a year since I've made it, and it's so very good and very, very decadent. And if you want to find out which one it is, you can go to genoacitysoap.com. And in fact, while you're there, if you want to sign up for the newsletter, I'm going to send out an email reminder as soon as the giveaway goes live. So if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll find out right away when you can enter and hopefully win a bar of soap from Genoa City Soap. I'm really excited and looking forward to that. My second announcement is actually a pretty big announcement that I recorded yesterday. So what I'm going to do is wrap up our regular Y&R chat, and I'm going to put it on the end of the video and the podcast. And I did it that way because I'm also going to put that announcement specifically up as its own video and its own podcast, so that everybody can get this information and news. It is important, and if you're a weekly watcher and fan of Y&R Chat, this is info you will definitely want to know. So I'll just wrap up here by saying I love your comments. I hope you keep them coming. You can go to yrchat.com to leave them, or you can call into my voicemail at 309-588-4569, and I will be reading, loving, picking out a few, chatting about them next week. I cannot wait for the big Sharon reveal. It's going to be a good one next week. But before we get there, here is my big announcement. I hope that you all enjoy. Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our special announcement, spoiler alert edition of Y&R Chat. I am having a baby. Yay! I am very, very excited. It's a girl. There's gonna be a little Allie Jr. The next generation of Y&R chatters is soon to be born, and shocking twist, my due date is December 8th, which is just over a month away. So I know what you're all thinking, and don't worry, okay? Thanks to my nearly 25 years of soap opera fandom, I am fully aware that there is a strong possibility that my baby will be either stolen or switched at birth. But just so you guys know, I've already toured the hospital, I've interviewed the nurses and doctors. I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on them, and if there is anything suspicious going on, and maybe just cuz, I will insist on following up with a round of DNA testing, possibly 5, 6 separate DNA tests at independent labs across the city, just to make sure that the child I come home with is actually my child. Now, I know the second concern that you guys out there have is, what's gonna happen to Why in Our Chat? And here is my opportunity to reassure you that everything is going to be okay. Why in Our Chat will live on. Nobody worry. Obviously, though, there is going to be a period of time where you guys don't hear much from me. As much as I would love to assume that I'm going to be a superwoman and be blogging and vlogging and doing it all from the hospital, I do have to accept the reality that I'm going to need some recovery time, but never fear, I do have a plan to keep Why in Our Chat going during all of this, and don't think that it hasn't been on my mind this entire time, and also don't think that I don't want to get back to Why in Our Chat. I'm going to want to get back to my routine with Why in Our Chat and you know, putting it out there for you as soon as possible. So when within the next month or so, when a Sunday rolls around and you don't see a video posted from me, you don't see a podcast posted from me, here's what I want you to do. First of all, please assume that I have gone into labor trapped inside of an elevator in an ice storm while there is an entire citywide power outage going on at the same time. Okay, I want you to assume there's maximum drama going on around this labor, but I'm fine. I'm gonna be fine. The EMTs are gonna rescue me just in time and transport me to the hospital. It's all good. But when you don't hear from me, what I'd love for you all to do is just go to whyourchat.com, because I'm going to try my very hardest, and I think it's reasonable to get a post out there to let you guys know what's going on, that I'm okay, and most importantly, I can pre-schedule posts at the website so that you guys can continue to talk about the show even though I'm not here, and I can check those messages and maybe chime in here and there as soon as I can, or as soon as I get home. But I just wanted to put it out there that the website is going to be the place to go to check in on me and to chat with the other chatters about the show. I don't want the conversation about the show to stop just because I can't necessarily lead it. But I have to be somewhat realistic. I think it's probably going to be at least 2 to 3 weeks where you guys don't hear from me very much. Like I said, I will try to get in on the conversation at the website, but that's probably the only place you're going to be able to find me. There's not going to be a video. There's not going to be a podcast. I will not be on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. And there probably will be a minimal amount of interaction by me while I'm adjusting. However, I'm really hoping that some of our Why in Our Chat, the other stars of Why in Our Chat who comment regularly, I'm hoping maybe you guys can jump in there during that transition time and maybe use it as your time to shine. Post your own weekly summary of the show, your weekly opinions on the show, because people do read those, they do interact and respond with those. So I would love it if all of the names that we all know from every single week of Why in Our Chat would jump in there and contribute while I'm out. I am thinking though that hopefully by 3-4 weeks after having the baby, I would like to be completely caught up on the show, because believe me, I'm going to be watching. There's no doubt that I'm going to be caught up on every single episode. I already have it all kind of in my mind, worked into how I'm going to make it, how I'm going to make it work so I can still get my Y&R in, which is like my decompression time. That's my me time. So it's important to me to get the shows in, and hopefully by around a month, I will be completely caught up on the show and able to return to you guys with some audio blogs, meaning the podcast. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be closer to 4 to 6 weeks, I would say, before I'm going to be able to come back and really feel like setting everything up for the full video and the games and all of the other goodies and website stuff and the full rip-roaring Y&R chat that I usually do. So it's probably going to be 6 weeks for that, but hopefully it's going to be closer just to maybe 3-4 weeks before I can at least get back doing podcasts and audio blogs. So I suppose that the bad news is that I will be gone for just a little while, but the good news is I will be back. I will absolutely be back. And I think that there's a part of me that will be anxious and ready to come back because Y&R chat and Y&R in general is my sanctuary. I think I'm going to need and want to have this as a way to get back to normal or to feel normal or to connect in with just me and my Allie-ness and who I am. And I mean, I've been watching The Young and the Restless since I was 13 years old. It's been nearly 25 years. It's something that's part of my backbone. I think that this space of time, I am probably more unabashedly Allie than anywhere else in my life, and I think that I'm really going to want to come back to that as soon as possible. But on that note, when I do come back, I just have to say one little serious comment here. This is and will always be Allie's Y&R chat. It is not going to become Allie's baby talk. I don't want anyone to think that I'm going to turn it into that. And likewise, I don't want to feel obligated or pressured to talk about the baby. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to want to share a bunch of pictures and give everyone a blow-by-blow about it, and I hope that everybody can kind of understand and appreciate that. This is my space to talk about Y&R with you, and I want to keep Y&R chat about Y&R. I'm going to be living life with a newborn, and I just am probably not going to want to have a bunch of conversations about it. But at the same time, I think that there is going to be a whole new world of experiences that I am going to be able to relate to the show, and that's really exciting to me. There's a lot that goes on the show with the storylines and the characters and the different situations that I think I'll be able to add a little more depth to from having been a mother. For instance, when it comes time to ship my kid off to boarding school at age 8, where she will return to me as a fully formed 18-year-old in just a couple of months, maybe years, then I will be able to now relate that experience to whatever character is also going through that on Y&R. Or, when it comes time for me to do everything in my power to keep my child away from that no-good punk that she's dating, then I will be able to, take all my Y&R experiences and relate that to how I will find insane and crazy ways to stop her from dating this guy, and relate that back to the show. I think that's going to be a good thing. And God forbid if someday down the road my daughter starts having an affair with my third husband or something, I'm going to be able to bring all of that knowledge and all of those feelings from my own life into the Y&R chat and vice versa. So there's a whole new vista opening up here. So it is very, very exciting, and I hope that you guys are excited for me, and I hope nobody's too disappointed. We will definitely get back onto a regular schedule as soon as possible, and more than anything, I just want all of you guys to know that I have every intention of continuing Y&R Chat for as long as possible until the day that my daughter decides to overthrow my Y&R Chat throne and take my place.